$360 million for broadband projects in Colorado and Pennsylvania. Awards to 3 providers in the Sunshine State. The FCC's Space Bureau officially opened for business, and the United Kingdom turns to low Earth orbit satellites to help bridge the digital divide. Those stories and more on This Week in the Broadband Universe. Hello everyone and welcome, I'm Craig Corbett. More than $360 million in broadband funding slated to be awarded in Colorado and Pennsylvania. $162 million on tap for the Advanced Colorado Broadband Grant Program, $200 million for the Pennsylvania Infrastructure Program. Funding for both coming from the Capital Projects Fund created in the American Rescue Plan Act. Applications will be accepted by the Colorado Broadband Office beginning June the 12th. The deadline is August 11th. Applications in the Keystone State will be accepted as of May 10th and will run through July the 10th. Funding recipients will be required to deploy symmetrical 100 megabits per second service. Florida's Broadband Opportunity Program has announced awards totaling $22 million for deployment of high-speed broadband. Connexon Connect receiving the lion's share with more than $13.3 million. Sewanee Valley Electric Cooperative slated to get $5 million, and Charter Communications $4.3 million. The awards will result in service being made available to better than 33,000 unserved residential, educational, business, and community locations across the Sunshine State. Earlier this year, the program awarded $143 million. Federal Communications Commission officially launched its Space Bureau this week, a move reflecting the agency's increased interest in satellite-based communications. The FCC has already received applications for 64,000 new satellites, a large percentage being low Earth orbit satellites. Reorganization of the International Bureau was proposed last year by Chairwoman Jessica Rosenworcel and approved by the Commission in January. In a related story, the United Kingdom government's aptly named Very Hard to Reach Premises Connectivity Program has chosen low Earth orbit satellite communications company OneWeb for a pair of broadband trials in the UK. Member of Parliament and Secretary of State for Science Michelle Donnellan says that £8 million has been committed to providing satellite connectivity for the UK's most remote communities as part of its wireless infrastructure strategy. The program's goal? To make sure that no one is left behind, with all populated areas in the UK served by 5G plus technology by 2030. The trials will take place in the Shetland Islands and Lundy Island. Currently, OneWeb has a constellation of 618 low Earth orbit satellites. And while we're on that side of the pond, interesting research by the National Commission on Markets and Competition, the Spanish antitrust regulator, showing that more than 4/5, that's 83.1% of all broadband lines in Spain as of the end of 2022 were fiber optic. 16.9 million fixed broadband connections in the country, with the overwhelming majority, 15.7 million, having contracted speeds of 100 megabits per second or more. Big news from Ziply Fiber. The Kirkland, Washington-based provider has launched symmetrical 10 gigabit per second service across its entire 4-state footprint in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana. The service will run $300 per month along with a one-time $300 installation fee. Most of the Ziply Fiber assets were purchased from Frontier. Last month, the company acquired fiber internet and fixed wireless internet provider Terra. Latest chapter in the Diamond Sports Group Bally Sports saga. Major League Baseball has filed an emergency motion demanding that the Minnesota Twins and Cleveland Guardians be paid for their TV rights or be released immediately from their Bally Sports contracts. The Arizona Diamondbacks have filed a separate but similar motion on their behalf. Diamond Sports did not make their rights payments for the just-started MLB season. Bally Sports is, however, still carrying games for all 3 teams on their regional sports channels. What we spend on digital programming and streaming subscriptions has just seen the highest growth in the past 5 months, up 4.1%. That according to a study by Barclays Bank. The jump in spending powered in part by the recent season premieres of the popular series such as The Mandalorian, Succession, and Ted Lasso. And finally, a tip of the cap, very much in order for Utopia Fiber, the largest open-access fiber network in the United States. Following weeks of number crunching, the final tally is in. During 2022, Utopia Fiber built 4,387 miles of fiber optic infrastructure throughout portions of Utah, Idaho, and Montana. Since 2009, the Utah Telecommunication Open Infrastructure Agency has successfully designed, built, and operated nearly $500 million worth of fiber projects in Utah and the western United States. Congratulations to Executive Director Roger Timmerman and the entire Utopia team on a job well done. We'll see you next time right here on This Week in the Broadband Universe.